Raw sucked. They are also at the same time that brand is dealing with quite a bit.
Yes,
And,
a lot of people
they
behind the
lost
scenes.
Roman, and Braun's not available at this moment. I don't.
Mm-hmm.
Did you get confirmation? Is his TLC match with Baron Corbin happening? I went on the site and it's not there.
Oh, weird.
At first, I heard that this was an issue he could work around and still wrestle, but now it's not there, so maybe he's not doing it. I don't mind. I didn't necessarily want to see that match anyhow, but it is not listed. There's only 3 matches listed for TLC, which is in 2 weeks. Again, wrestling is sort of slowed down. We feel like we're back more in the regular grind. There were 3 extra pay-per-views this fall, which is why the past 2 months have felt crazy.
Yeah.
Now we're back to the regular schedule. Like, we have a 3-week build at least for TLC, which is fine. Still short, but fine. And I don't need to see that match. And I'm wondering if that's why Becky, Asuka, and Charlotte got the TLC match. There's usually one TLC match at the TLC pay-per-view.
Yeah, one that has all
tables,
3.
ladders. Yeah. I can't see them having 2. Maybe they can get away with 2 because it's split between the males and females.
Mm-hmm.
I can see that happening. I still don't necessarily want to see Baron Corbin versus Braun Strowman in a TLC match. I mean, I get that it's going to have a lot of interference because Drew McIntyre, he's part of another trio again now. He's just part of a new trio with Baron Corbin and Bobby Lashley.
And they haven't really dealt with
and Dolph's just on his own.
The Dolph of it all. Yeah, it's really odd. I will say, we'll talk more about, but the now that we know that this women's TLC match is happening and who's in it, that's very exciting and is probably solidifying. Trish and I were already discussing, what if we drove up for TLC, because it's a 5-hour drive.
Where is it? San Jose?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think we're gonna do it.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, check that out.
I don't want to be a Donald Downer, but this is what I want to ask you. Before I even ask you this, I will say that I think you and I are both aligned, along with a lot of other people, that Becky, Asuka, Charlotte should go on last.
Of course.
Whether or not Baron Corbin versus Braun Strowman is also a TLC match and is also still happening, the women's match should go on last.
Yes.
Women's match should go on last, especially if the other match is canceled.
Mm-hmm.
But even still, it should go on last no matter what. Now, my gray line, what's the opposite of a silver lining? Anyway, that's what I'm going to get into here. Do you think, Alexa Bliss still isn't wrestling?
Yeah. Another thing with Raw, by the way. Yeah.
Concussion wise, she's still being evaluated. I heard she's training to get back in the ring. She's just started, but it's been a while. It's been a hot minute, and been a while. I'm wondering if Becky is cleared. And I'm wondering if they put Asuka into this match because they're going to take Becky out in the next couple weeks, do like an ambush or something. Titles vacated, and now they actually they still have 2 people.
Yeah.
And it could be a Charlotte Asuka match, which I'm still way into, but I'm just curious about what Becky's actual state is.
I would really hope that's not the case, just because it would be highly manipulative seeing where Becky is right now. I mean, as far as like the popularity and everything, to announce her for this knowing she wasn't really going to be part of it. I think more likely...
I mean, yeah, that would be shitty, yeah.
I think more likely is that they made it triple threat to protect her more, right? That she can be knocked out for a duration of it, and Asuka and Charlotte can... It's because, of course, it's worrisome. It's exciting that she's back and for this match, and then, of course...
It's also a dangerous match.
It's a dangerous match where she had a big injury recently, and I'm just like, how do you protect yourself during that? Like, not in the face, you can't really do that. And it's this, a match that is like a very, very physical match. So it's nerve wracking, just as a fan and a human person who doesn't want someone to be hurt, doesn't want Becky Lynch to be harmed, that she's doing it knowing that in real life she had this major injury. But then I did think, okay, I think that's why they made it a triple threat, is to protect her a little bit and to maybe keep in some way, because it would suck if they were like, oh no, she's not, if it's a storyline thing where they can take her out of it. I think announcing she's part of it at all That would be that'd be a dirty pool. And I mean I know WWE can be pretty underhanded with some of the things they pull, but I would hope that they would know that we can't announce this thing that is like such a draw right now. Like again, the reason they want her back so quickly, I'm sure the reason she's rushing herself back is like capitally, oh man, this is hitting so hard, you can't be on the shelf that long. Because I realistically thought she might not wrestle again until Royal Rumble, but here she is. So just hope everything's okay, Becky.
As
be careful.
Giant.
How's it looking, by the way, at your Skype photo, which is you and Becky talking to each other?
Yeah, that was my grief my grief selfie from when.
Yeah, you have a great picture. He has a great picture of him interviewing Becky and AJ at Comic-Con a few years ago because she's laughing uproariously at something humorous Matt has said.
I said, yeah, I probably said a pun. She loves those.
Yeah.
Wordplay. I'm really happy about Asuka getting into this match.
Yeah.
It seems out of nowhere because of the horrible mid-card status she's been hovering in, but that's how these things work. Again, remember, AOP wasn't doing anything until automatically they were all of a sudden tag team champions. Took like a week or two. You just get shot up really quickly. Yeah. Everyone just sort of, it's musical chairs. Everyone just sort of runs around, and then automatically you can get bumped up. A lot of times it does happen because of injury. Man, Lars Sullivan, by the way, they could put him on Raw right now with lack of Braun, lack of Roman, and they could just push him like crazy. Like that would be, they could make a star out of him instantly and have him dominate like never before. Like this is a time for the to strike with Lars Sullivan. I don't know when he's coming. I don't know how long they're gonna keep him on NXT or have him do both. I actually watched the match with Keith Lee from this week. It was really good. He still won though, so it's not like they're having him lose on his way out yet.
No.
He's still headed towards. I think he's trying to get a title shot, so he's still in that mode. Even though they're advertising for a new brand, he's still winning on NXT. Anyway, what I was saying is that with Asuka, she wasn't doing anything until all of a sudden she's doing something. And that's kind of how it works sometimes. It doesn't feel the most natural way to get to between 2 points, but it happened.
Yeah, it's funny because actually on Total Divas this season, there was an ongoing thread with Lana, and again, keeping in mind Total Divas is from a few months, everything we're seeing was a few months ago. And there was an ongoing thing with Lana's angst over the fact that she was completely off of TV for many months before they put her back with Rusev, basically before One Night in Milwaukee started to build. That there was a time where she was like really lamenting that, she was had been removed from storylines. She was only doing house shows and dark matches and whatnot. And then suddenly she wasn't. Like suddenly she was doing things again and having pay-per-view matches. So, yeah.
Do you think, and then somebody put out on Twitter, it's like, oh, they're just putting Asuka in the match to have her get pinned. And I was like, oh, well, I think they didn't catch that it was basically a ladder match because it's TLC. Yeah. And that the winner is the one to climb up and do it by themselves no matter what. They're not doing something to someone else specifically.
Right.
Do you think there's a chance? There's also sort of whispers in the wind about Asuka possibly turning heel at some point. I don't know if that's going to happen or if it does, when. Do you think they might put the belt on Asuka to take the belt away from Charlotte and Becky to clear the road for a style of horsewomen versus horsewomen match just to get titles off people?
Yes. And I also think because Royal Rumble's coming.
And then she could win it. Exactly.
Yeah, and because that could set up Becky versus Ronda or Charlotte versus Ronda or the triple threat match that could happen. So I actually think there is a chance that Asuka could win this thing right now because we're getting to the clearing the plates of January in the Royal Rumble.
I wish it happens. I hope it doesn't go back on Charlotte. I know that's a very safe bet.
Yeah.
Asuka would be amazing. I'm a huge fan of hers. I wish, again, if this is their time, I do wish it had come with a better story and with a better presentation of Asuka. Mm-hmm. She's coming out of nothing right now because they really beefed her storyline after WrestleMania completely. Yes. And now they just have to go back and pretend like the last 7 months don't exist and build her up again. Like, she's the Empress of Tomorrow. She was previously undefeated, blah, blah, blah. Or I wish it came with a new heel persona, with some sort of new presentation of Asuka. But, again, I'll still take it. I still think it's awesome. I love her. And this coming sort of on the heels of a lot of rumblings about them holding her back because she can't, a lack of English, which is always sad to hear, especially when a lot of Japanese stars are coming up through NXT. It's like, well, what are they going to do when they get to the main roster? Obviously people in NXT don't have a problem with them not speaking English very well or speaking it moderately well. But then, they come up to Raw and SmackDown, and apparently it's a big hindrance.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm excited for that match. I'm excited for Daniel Bryan versus AJ Styles. I'm excited for Seth Rollins versus Dean Ambrose. I think so far TLC is a good card.
Yep.
Daniel Bryan posted on Twitter. He was a tweet basically building up, all capitalized, the new Daniel Bryan again as somebody who's actually not going to wrestle as frequently. He's not going Brock Lesnar, but because AJ Styles called him out this week for not being there, and saying, like, what does he think? This is Raw, or he's been watching Raw too much? So Daniel Bryan tweeted about how, the old Daniel Bryan wrestled himself to death almost, into early retirement. The new Daniel Bryan is above that, which I think is it's a good way to utilize this new persona and to get some time off. So
yeah, it works both ways. And I do think if they're,
I'm just making myself laugh, which is what I usually do, by thinking of like, hey, Vince, can my new gimmick be guy who likes to take vacations?
Right. It works so well for Kurt. I do think that they should change his music. If they really want to curb the yes chants, it'll still happen to some extent. But because now Battle Cry of the Valkyries, people know how to chant yes to it so well, I think that, he should maybe change up the music. I already said they have to get rid of the visuals of the fingers pointing and literally saying yes on the graphics on the screen. But I do think maybe it's time to change the music, and obviously he can go back to it when he goes face again one day. But because that is so associated now with, like, that's his big entrance, and this is how everyone is going to chant yes along to it. By the way, I this is all, since we're talking about Daniel Bryan, though I do want to jump back to the triple threat briefly. I just have to. You had a reader, not a reader email. You had the comment, but I have a tweet I got from Agent Smith, Agent_Smith_X2. Don't know your real name. Maybe it's Hugo Weaving. But he had
it's Hugo Weaving's personal account.
Yes, he had a fun tweet to me where he said, "Do you think we'll find out it was Daniel Bryan behind Dr. Shelby's disappearance all along, and not Sasha Bailey sex murder?" And I was like, yeah, I like that idea, because it can be part of him erasing the weak Daniel Bryan. It's like Dr. Shelby, unfinished business.
God, has he just been tied up this whole time? Slowly tortured? Slowly being eaten alive, Hostel 2 style?
My God, like they have a segment with Brie finding Dr. Shelby in like a dungeon she didn't know about.
Speaking of all of this, I caught a serial killer in Red Dead Redemption 2. You have to find his murder tableaus all over the valley. He leaves torsos places with heads with pieces of maps in their mouth. Oh. And then when you collect all the map pieces, you track him down to a basement. And his basement is filled with horrible, ghastly sights of body parts and all this stuff. And he knocks you out, Eric. And when you come to, he's about to kill you. And it prompts you, pick up head. And so you do that, and you pick up a severed head from one of his victims, which is on the ground, and you throw it at him, and it bashes him in the face. And then you either kill him or hog tie him and take him to the sheriff. Anyway,
you've just sold the Red Dead Redemption to me better than anyone has ever sold. But now I'm going to be disappointed when all missions are like this.
No, I have been taking off. I've been doing for days now. I've been doing nothing.
And now do you ride around holding the head if you wish as a new weapon in your arsenal?
Yeah. You should at least put it on one of your saddlebags, but you don't. I've been just doing nothing.
This is actually the final boss, and it just ends with you primal screaming, covered in blood.
It's like, well, that was some Red Dead Redemption.
No one ever saw me again.
I've been doing so many monster quests because there's a vampire, there's a wolf man, there's a satanic cult, there's aliens, Eric. There's a ton of weird...
Not the game I understood from the
I've been purposely seeking out these weird Easter egg things. There's a time traveler, there's a guy who's creating a robot. It's all this weird stuff. And I've been avoiding the main quest so much that the main quest sent a bot out to try to bring me back. I mean, one of my gang members